If you're in the ecom space, you know that good product photography is hard to find and often expensive. And making interesting creatives from those product photos is often even more time consuming and tough to do. So today I'm going to show you how just using Midjourney and Photoshop, I turned this photo and this photo into this photo. We're going to make it a quick one today, so let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to need is a photo of the product itself. This can be just taken with your phone. Use Canva or something to remove the background if you just want to do it quick and easy. It doesn't have to be super clean or anything like that. We're going to work on that later in Photoshop. As you can see here, I've got this pill bottle from Eterna. It's a supplement of some sort. We're going to use this as kind of the base for what we're going to make the product image for. And the next thing you need is going to be a Midjourney subscription. If you're in the creative space at all, you should have a Midjourney subscription. Even if you don't use the actual images it outputs, the kind of ideas, ideation it comes up with are super helpful. I think it's great. We're going to go over the prompt that I used to get this. So this was the final image that I got. I can see there's a bunch here that it gave me. I upscaled this one. So let's look at the prompt I used. As you can see, it is a supplement bottle. It's on a circular platform. It's got water and mist around it. The prompt was a blue supplement bottle emerging from splashing dark water surrounded by mist smoke in a storm on circular platforms. So a item, so blue supplement bottle, then emerging with splashing dark water, so describing the surrounding. It could be, you know, sitting in sand on the beach, you know, like whatever it is your item is kind of themed towards. Surrounded by mist, smoke, in a storm. That could be, you know, if you're on a beach, surrounded by palm trees and birds flying overhead on circular platforms. You can just kind of change the prompt to kind of fit whatever it is you're looking for. But it's a pretty basic prompt. You should have a good idea kind of what you're looking for based on this. Just think of like other product images you've seen. And when you are generating this, Midjourney actually lets you upload images. So you click the little image button here, upload the photo of your product itself, and it should give you something closer to the shape of what you're looking. From here, you're going to upscale the image just using the subtle button here to make just a basically larger image of it. You're going to download it, and then we're going to dive right into Photoshop. So I've already completed this in Photoshop, but I'm going to give you a breakdown of what you're going to do straight away. You want 2 or 3 duplicates straight away of the original Midjourney image. The next thing you want to do is you want to select wherever the text is. I've done this already, but if you select like around here, as we saw in the previous photo, you're going to use generative fill and say remove text. This should do a pretty good job at getting you halfway there. If it doesn't, try content aware fill, mess around with it a little bit, but it should be pretty close to get. As I said, you're going to duplicate this image straight away. So on the next duplicate of the Midjourney image, you're going to select the product and say remove the container or remove item, whatever it is. This will give you a base plate to work from, but you still have the original here with the text removed. Next, you're going to have your actual item. You want to make sure that you have the original base plate still in there with the Midjourney generated bottle in there, because you're going to use that to give you a general guide of the size that you can go for with this. This has to kind of just place it properly on the platform, and we're going to look into kind of how we blend this now. So the first thing I did with this image, with everything here set up exactly like this, I selected very loosely around the base of the item, because that should be in water. That should be sitting on the platform itself. And very simply, I used the generative fill tool. So I selected all around here, and I just typed in generative fill, and I typed in water splash base. This gave me this. Now, if I look here, Photoshop actually gives you a number of options. I can click through here and try these out, but this one clearly looks the best. As you can see here, if I zoom in, this looks like the bottom of the bottle is actually sitting in the water now on top of the platform. After that, what I did is I went back to our original Midjourney image. There's our base layer that has the original Midjourney generated supplement bottle in it. So it looks like this. I cut out the supplement bottle. I asked Photoshop Generative AI to remove the splashes and things like that, but I ended up with a basic version of just this bottle. Then if I re-enable these layers on the water splash base, I took this copy of the bottle and I placed it on top. See, when I do that, you can actually see the little water droplets and things like that that are coming through. I set the mode to linear dodge add over here, and I set the opacity to 15%. If I set this to 100% now, how bright that is, but I've manipulated the original image of the bottle using command click here to move around. So I get those shadows and those highlights and things like that that are going to go directly onto the bottle and make it look more realistic. As you can see, it was 100% there. This doesn't look correct. I had erased around some of the text and stuff here to make it more legible. If I bring it back down to 15, that gives it that kind of nice, realistic look. I also will go into the original bottle. I'll adjust the curves, image adjustments, curves, bring these up and down, you know, highlight things a bit. You know, I've already done this, but it just makes it look a little more realistic. It's kind of fit the setting and the lighting a little bit better. Now, the thing that I think really brings this to the next level in terms of realism is something very simple. I searched water droplet PNG, took these water droplets, placed them right on top, out of them just in different areas. This is the same image, just duplicated over and over. and I just moved it around and erased some sections, flipped it, put it in other sections, and immediately just makes it look significantly more realistic. Next thing I did was I just added the company's logo, just got it from their website, I think, and just copy and pasted it in there. Now, one thing that you can change depending on the image that you have, this base of this item is covered with that generative fill that we did with the water, but some things you might want to be actually like sitting on a desk or a table or someone's hand. When someone's holding something or something sitting on a table, there's a base shadow that you might not even notice. It's not just like the drop shadow we usually see. There's a little shadow right at the bottom of the thing it's sitting on that kind of shows where the item is. Sometimes you might want to keep your base image with the generated product like this in order to generate that shadow, to keep that kind of there. But with this, I like those little water droplets that were kind of jumping around the back here, so I decided to keep that whole section. So I don't actually have the remove section turned on. It looks a little bit too clean. It looks like there's kind of something missing. Again, it doesn't look like it's interacting with the environment. If I added this in, you got kind of water jumping around, there's a little extra stuff here. It just makes it look like it's kind of more actually inside the environment itself. So now you've got your kind of basic version done. What you're going to do here is create a new layer. You're going to go to Image, Apply Image. What I like to do is go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. And here you can mess with, it kind of like emulates the look of a camera a little bit, right? So I can bump the contrast a little bit, bring some of those highlights up because this image is very kind of otherworldly and interesting. Let's bring the shadows down a little. Get those whites slightly whiter, black slightly blacker. That doesn't remove too much of our quality or too much of our details, since we're at -8 there. Texture, let's bring that up a little bit. That kind of makes the water droplets pop. Let's do that. Clarity can be a bit too much sometimes. This is going to do over the top now. I don't want that. Actually, going to bring the clarity down a little bit. And this is, I think, the kind of real defining thing is the grain. I think adding a decent amount of grain, not that much, but around there, makes it look like it was taken with like an actual camera, adds that kind of like natural grain to it. Like, okay. And there you go. Now you've got a product image that can be used in ad creatives, on social media, on Shopify product pages, anywhere that you need it to. And it took basically about 15 to 20 minutes with Midjourney and some Photoshop. And this applies to all sorts of different photos. I'm going to show you another one I just did in a second. So this is another very common type of photo. So this thing is like, you know, it's a pre-workout supplement for a gym brand. It's got a particular flavor, fruit punch. So you want it like surrounded by fruit or, you know, this big orange juice blast coming out at the top. So I'm going to break down how we did this one too. I'm going to start off actually by showing you the Midjourney prompt we used for this. As you can see here, this one took a little bit more testing as I was messing with different prompt styles and adding in the reference image for Midjourney to take note of. But eventually we did get something that worked pretty well. So the one that we finally ended up using was this one here. It says, a black tub of gym pre-workout supplement with white label floating in the air at an angle, mango fruits behind, mango juice splashing, cinematic product shot, bright orange backdrop, bright vibes. As you can see, Midjourney actually didn't fully listen to me there. It doesn't have it floating in the air at an angle. But I'm sure if I kept at it and kept giving it more instruction, it would. The same process as usual, you're going to upscale it subtle, and then you're going to download it. Now with the image in Photoshop, we're going to do what we did before. We're going to duplicate it a bunch of times. I'm going to walk you through the different things I did in order to make this image work. The final version of this image that we saw before looks like this. So how did I get it like this? It required a lot of manipulating the size and angles of the photo. If I turn this photo off and see the base one, I've actually deleted the upper part of the section. I wanted the orange splash gone. But I needed to manipulate the shape of the bottle in order to fit my new supplement bottle. So I dragged this across a little bit, and then I added in these orange liquid splashes. As you can see, all I've got left when I have this here is actually just the base. As I mentioned, the base is important when sitting on something. It gives us this shadow underneath, makes it seem like it's actually sitting on the table. These are all here, just little fill-ins I did to cover up shadows and things. So let's pull in the actual item itself. So the item itself is here. As you can see, I've done what we were talking about before about positioning it properly on top of the previous Midjourney generated image. So again, the process we have is we've got multiple duplicated layers with the bottom layer. We've got a second layer usually with the item removed. We've got a third layer that has just the Midjourney item taken out of it. And then we have our own actual product photo. So after I take that, I've got it kind of messed around the back of the layers here to get everything looking how I want it to and get everything moved around, cut things out, remove things, all that sort of stuff. Then what I do is I take the Midjourney photo of the generated image and I remove the label from it. Again, I've set this layer dodge here. I'm going to set this to normal to see what it looks like and bring it up, the opacity up. It just looks like a big tube. You know, like it's a large black tube that's got those highlights and that texture on it. That's what we're really looking for here. So then I set it to linear dodge. I set the opacity to about 20%. And you can see it's added these little kind of lines here, these highlights that make things look good. You can manipulate the size of this. You can kind of move the edge around. See if I remove those little reflections there, kind of line them up how I want them to look. Kind of right on the edge of the product there. and just get it really looking like as close to the original Midjourney photo as possible. Again, that there's it to linear dodge and add. That's what gives us those nice highlights and things like that on top of our original item. Now, again, the original item we're going to do is you're going to adjust things like the curves. So you're going to bring down a little bit the blacks, maybe close to kind of try and match the other items that are around it that are shadowed and see kind of how dark they are. And maybe we're actually going to boost the highlights. If we boost the highlights too much, we actually lose the detail in the product a little bit. We're screwing up a little bit there, so it's kind of like a very minor sort of curve. You can bring it up a little bit too. This isn't a super intense adjustment here. Click OK on that. Then you can also adjust the curves on the linear dodge layer that's got the details on it. If you want to bring the highlights up a little bit, so you can see move up there. No, we want to keep as much detail as we can. So we're actually going to move it up a little bit, and that's looking. This is kind of done now. Like, this looks pretty good as it is. The other things that we can add are things like company logos and stuff like that. I have those here somewhere, but there we go. So layer 7 there. So I've got the company logo just there. And we talked about, again, what kind of I love these little things. The things that kind of, I think, really, if you've got something that makes sense to have liquid on it, I think these add a lot to it, are the little water droplets. So I turn this layer on. You can see I've got a few little ones just here and over here. And then you can kind of use the eraser tool to kind of make them match. Set them to overlay. I didn't actually just the opacity, also set them to overlay and left them there. And now we are going to do what we did last time. We're going to make a new layer, image, apply image to flatten everything, filter, camera raw filter, boost exposure a little bit, because we want that nice bright orange there. Boost the contrast a little bit then after. Then let's bring the shadows ever so slightly down. 9 highlights, little, and let's leave that. That's enough kind of on that side of things, but let us add a little bit of texture. If we clarity too, it would be kind of nice. Yeah, I like that. See, that kind of makes the blacks more black and it just makes things pop a little bit. If you wanted with this, you could add a little vignette. You could do like this, kind of highlight it, but I kind of like just this flat look. I'll just go with 0 on that one. And now the grain, we're gonna add a little bit of grain. See, if you go too far, that looks awful, right? You want just enough that it looks like it was taken with a camera, or you can kind of emulate like a phone look. About 25, you get these nice little scan lines when you zoom in and stuff. This all looks more gritty and makes it look a little bit nicer. Click OK. There we go. Again, you've got another perfect product photo that you can use in your creatives, you know, as anywhere you want it to. This is, I think, a super powerful way to make creatives super quickly. Essentially, again, if I walk through the process, you are going to use Midjourney to generate an image, use your product photo as a reference to Midjourney to get the shape of your item. Take it into Photoshop, duplicate the bottom layer a few times. You're going to end up with 3 plates. Usually you've got the original plate. You're going to have the plate that has the product removed and the plate that is just the Midjourney product. Then you're going to have your own product you bring in, use the layers to organize things properly, and have the Midjourney product on top of the actual product photo. You are going to set the Midjourney product to linear dodge, add, and set it to about 10 to 20% opacity. Adjust it so that all the shadows and highlights match up. And then you're going to kind of mess with the bottom layer so it looks like the item's actually sitting where you need it to sit. And then finally, you're going to add some extra details, things like water droplets or anything along those sort of lines. Then you're going to do a final pass of new layer, image, apply image, filter, camera raw, mess around until it looks real, add some grain, add some texture, and you are good to go. That's just a little insight into how we use AI and Photoshop in order to create some really, really cool looking product images. This is super, super useful for multiple cases. Over at Innovative, we offer a specialized AI product photo creation service, as well as using the same methods to create killer image photos for landers, product pages, email designs, absolutely everything. I'm going to make the PSDs for these files available. They'll be in the link in the description below. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. If you need more product photos for your brand, feel free to contact me on Twitter at CopyLineKiller. And if you also want to find out more about doing this yourself or any tips or tricks, feel free to hit me up. See you in the next one. Peace.